Hello, it's episode 4, and here we are today finishing NFC West with my predicted champion of this division. And as much as it pains me, I think that the Rams will repeat winning this division. But let's be honest, this division I think is going to be very, very close. I actually, spoiler alert, have them finish with exactly the same score as the Seahawks, just having some tiebreakers going their way. And truth to be told, I feel like this team got a little bit disrespected and underappreciated for what they actually did last year. Before we dive into this, I have a huge ask for you. If you like this video, if you like what I'm doing, please leave a like, please leave a comment, recommend this to your friends, subscribe, whatever you want to do. It will help me very, very much. I am starving for feedback and I will very much appreciate it. Thank you, and let's take into this. So, I will start this a little bit differently. We will go into the draft in a couple of seconds, or let's say a couple of minutes, because I want to talk at least a little bit about last year's Rams. Because to me, they were kind of the closest team to Super Bowl, not named Philadelphia Eagles. They were super close to beating the Eagles. I still think this call that Sean McVay did on, I think it was like 3rd and 3 at around 20-yard line of the Eagles, the way that he called passing play on that specific one, I think it still haunts him. I feel like if he choose to run the ball there, I think Rams probably are winning that game, and perhaps they will win a Super Bowl. And just as we talk about like how it's like butterfly effect. Yeah, I guess you guys know what butterfly effect is, but just like one thing leads to another. And this offseason, I felt like when I heard national media, when I heard YouTubers, podcasters, whomever, a lot of them talk about how it's super, super important to like invest big in trenches, to just kind of copy what the Eagles are doing. And it's not like I disagree with that. I would actually build my team through the trenches. But to me, it just became this kind of obsession, this kind of like, this is the only way to succeed. And we have to copy what the Eagles are doing, no matter what our talent is right now, what's our window. And this to me just feels weird and wrong. Because, well, like some of the things that people are saying, okay, so if you want to eventually win a Super Bowl, you have to go against, Chris Jones in the playoffs. But if I'm Cleveland Browns, if I'm New Orleans Saints, my attention is not to go to the playoffs this year. It's not to go to the Super Bowl. So I don't have to like just be tunnel vision on improving my line play. So to me, this got overblown quite a lot, though I like the narrative. I really like building through the trenches, and I don't think that the Rams are actually opposite of that. Like, they are also built through the trenches quite a lot. But as kind of like, this is the only way to succeed, or this is something that you have to copy, I'm like, I think it depends on what your goal are, where are you in terms of your timeline with the organization, with the franchise. And, some of the weirdest contracts this offseason were towards line play, where I just like, really? You really need this guy for 20 million right now because of, I don't know. So it's just my little bit of rant. And where I was heading with this a little bit was, I just wonder if, I had a time machine or just like different timelines exist, whatever. I would just wonder what would happen to like this, let's say, theory or this trend if Eagles have actually lost to the Rams. And to me, the fact that how close they were to actually losing that game was absolutely lost in the translation. Like, I did not hear it mentioned nearly as much as it should have been based on how close they were. Like, Rams was right there. So to me, Rams did really nice things last year. And as much as it pains me as a Seahawks fan, I felt like after Aaron Donald's retirement, it's like, well, we could have at least a year off before this team is great again. No, Sean McVay and his staff are doing an amazing job. They're kind of becoming contender again under Sean McVay, which like happened through 3 different roster like build visions for this team. And it's just a great like thing that he's doing with this team. We can see it even different approach. It was like superstars, Jalen Ramsey, Matther Stafford. We screw our first round picks. Now it's like we are hoarding first round picks, or not hoarding, but we are actually trading for future assets. So they changed, and yet they are still effing great. So that pisses me off as much as they just automatically have to find another specimen of a pass rusher in Jared Verse when Aaron Donald finally retires. Not finally, like I would love to have him out there because like he's such a great player, such a great person. But just like you don't want that is when you are a Seahawks fan. Like imagining this defensive line with Aaron Donald and Jared Verse. I mean, if I'm Sam Darnold, I'm seeing ghosts in, I don't know, like in June. Like I don't even need to wait towards the season started. And I was like curious this off season if there was a possibility for like Sean McVay to pick up the phone and say, "Hey Aaron, I think we have a Super Bowl talented roster. This defensive line is not going to be only about you. Don't you want one last run, one last dance with this team?" And I mean, as much as I would hate that as a Seahawks fan for like our chances, I think this would catapult Rams towards, dare I say, Super Bowl favorites, because that would look nasty. That team would look nasty with Aaron Donald back. So I'm kind of glad it didn't happen as much as it pains me, because as a football fan, I would enjoy that. I'm pretty sure. Like beside the 2 games against Seahawks, I would not enjoy slaughtering of our offensive line. I would enjoy to watch Aaron Donald next to Jared Verse, next to other talents that they have on this defensive line that they have invested heavily in. I mean, even without Aaron, they are, to me, one of the teams that are going to be there in January, and nobody will want to play them. So, how does this happen? What they did in this draft or didn't to actually improve their chances for this year, and how their roster shapes up, what their schedule looks like, and what do I predict them to finish at? Let's find out. So we start with the draft, and the thing with the Rams is I was a huge fan of them trading out of the first round with the Falcons, given the compensation, because I really felt like Falcons overpaid. And to me, the value of the draft pick of the Falcons for next year is around 15, 16 in a better draft class, or like better in terms of deeper talent than the first round. I think talent was good here this year, but I think it's going to be better next season. And also the quarterback talent will be better, deeper. And for the Rams, with Matthew Stafford being 37, maybe it will be time where they will look for the successor plan. Depends on where Matthew Stafford is with his health. So having that asset, I really like that. At the same time, I was like, okay, I understand why they took this deal, because for their future, it's great. In terms of value, I think it was great. At the same time, you are in your Super Bowl window. You just resigned Matthew Stafford after some contract disputes, and you are not far away last year. So don't you want to give yourself more in terms of an edge that you can use this season? And I especially back this with picking of Terrence Ferguson, who to me was a reach. I had him as a third round talent. And at the same time, they have Colby Parkinson. They have Tyler Higbee, who, again, like he's dealing with injury. So perhaps there is going to be a world in which Terrence Ferguson is like a good player out of the gates. Can happen, and there is a spot for him on this roster. Again, absolutely can happen. But as of right now, he's probably the tight end 3, which is like if you are actually kind of close to a Super Bowl and you are coming out of this draft with your first round being tight end 3 and nothing else, I don't feel like you necessarily lifted your chances for getting Super Bowl this year, which surprised me. I thought they would be more aggressive in this area. To me, this is much more about like we want to be continually what we are in terms of organization. We want to have a plan for post-Matther Stafford era. And at the same time, we still believe we are good enough to be in the dance, which I think is absolutely fair. And it's one of the reasons why Rams are run super, super well. It's not necessarily what I would do. At the same time, I would have drafted someone else instead of Terrence Ferguson. As I looked at this like closer and what I would really appreciate, especially for this offense, if we are talking offensive weapon, I would take Jake Bash. We will talk about that in the offense portion of this video. But let's focus on the rest of the draft. I don't have all of the draft picks here, just those that I find are meaningful or that they were like, let's say, looking nice in terms of 2 and 2. I always will have day 1 and day 2 picks on the left side, and if there is more, then they are going to be on the right side. But if they just had 2 picks for day one and day 2, I just wanted to match it with just 2 picks to like take out of day 3 for them. So Josiah Stewart, I'm a huge fan of this pick. I felt like it was proper value, if not like slight actual value for them. Like he could have gone like 10-15 spots earlier and I would not blink an eye. I feel like he is a prototype of a player they know how to use, and I think he could be effective as early as year 1 as a quite surprisingly nice pass rusher option opposite to Jalen Wirfs. So I think Josiah Stewart could surprise you, and I would not be shocked if he racks up like 5-6 sacks in his first year. I think he could be this good in terms of if he gets one-on-one, which is going to happen quite often. If on the other side you have Jared Wirfs, he could win them. Then Ty Hamilton, to me, he's brought here for kind of one purpose only. That's just stuff the run, stuff the middle of the field, just bring some of the mass for this defensive line that's, I would say, well known to be a little bit undersized in terms of like height and sometimes even mass. Ty Hamilton should help with that, but they also brought Bruna Ford to help with this. So I really like this pick in terms of what he's supposed to do. Is this like some incredible value? No. And then Pupol, the pick that I really liked. I had very similar grade on him as I had on Jimmy Tuesnight, who went like 2nd or 3rd round towards the Bengals. And for the Rams, their strategy for linebackers is like, let's have 4 or 5, let's say, solid to capable bodies there, and we just need 2 of them to not be a liability. And I think Pupol or Chris Paul, as you could know him from the pre-draft process, could be just that. I think he has a good chance of actually being a starter year 1. I think he's going to be just kind of what the doctor ordered for how this Rams team is constructed in terms of defense. Again, we will talk a little bit more about that in defense portion of this video. Overall, this draft was like up and down for me in terms of how it shapes up Rams for 2027. Pretty good. How it helps them or how it improves their team for this year chase of the Super Bowl compared to other teams that are there, and where we talk about Eagles that got Jahad Campbell in the first round, where we talk about Chiefs, who Josh Connerly could be the best tackle in this draft. You know, I really feel like this could be something that actually comes out to bite them a little bit in January. So, with that being said, this was the draft. Let's take a look at how this offense is scheduled up to be. And one word about this offensive line is massive. It's massive offensive line, and there is probably like one competition only about like one spot, and that's center, because they brought back Coleman Shelton, and they also have a rookie from last year, Bollimer, who pretty much played the whole season. And Bo was not great. Coleman Shelton, as of right now, is probably a better player, though Bo has definitely bigger ceiling. So it's going to be a question who is going to be a starter. As of right now, Coleman Shelton is listed. I actually believe they will start with Bollimer because of kind of how they approach the draft, which kind of tells me, okay, like we actually trust that we can develop our players. We trust that, this is not like an all-in year, but this has to work. And Coleman Shelton to me is kind of nice backup plan. So we take Bollimer out there, 4 weeks. If it doesn't work, it's okay. We have Coleman Shelton here. If it does, we continue to ride with Ball. So that to me is how it's going to shape up. And this rest of the line, it's not like a special group in terms of there is totally high-end talent or I would rank them inside top 10. No, but they are just built with purpose. And that purpose is we are bigger, we are stronger than you, we are going to provide a lot of space for our running game, and it's just going to suck playing us, man. And that's kind of what these guys do. Like they are pretty much all better run blockers than they are pass blockers or pass protectors. And it's not a surprise when you look at how physically specimen they are. And when they are on the attack, they love that. You can go Alaric Jackson. They resign him. There were some talks about like them letting him go in free agency, that he's not good enough, probably because of his draft pedigree. To me, that was always a nonsense. And they got him for like 4 years, somewhere around 80 million, which I think is a very nice value. I think there is arrow definitely still pointing up for him. And to me, he was definitely a player that I will look into 2-3 weeks into the season and might change his grade towards an important starter. The same could go for Steve Avila, who struggled as a rookie. When he was not out there in second year, there was definitely a hole without him. When he came back, the offensive line immediately got better, and it was partially because of his play. I think he's continually developing. Is there a Pro Bowl caliber guard in his future? Could be, but I think they are kind of happy where he is as of right now. For Bollimer, as a later round pick last year, he had solid season. Like you don't necessarily expect these guys to be great. He was decent. He was sometimes a liability in terms of pass protection, but they can kind of scheme around that. And again, if it was too much of a liability, they now have a backup plan in Coleman Shelton. And right side is where true strength of this offensive line lies in terms of here are the veterans, here are the guys that are probably kept out, and we trust them. And why wouldn't you? Because Kevin Dotson, Pittsburgh, you let him go for pretty much nothing, just not even 2 years ago. I think he's showing, again, like someone was worried about them extending him to pretty good contract after like 1 year when he, suddenly from backup in Pittsburgh becomes kind of an all-pro guard for the Rams. It's like, well, was the deflation the pan? He came second year. No, plays pretty much all of the games, and he was just a menace. Like I would not say like he's Chris Lindstrom, but in terms of run blocking guards, he probably is a top 10-5 guy in the league, and that's a high praise. On the right side, this is a veteran in Rob Havenstein, just a solid player, one of still the better right tackles in the league. And what more you can ask for? The good thing is for the Rams that they are actually solidly deep, because they brought DJ Humphries, who didn't even make the spotlight here. They also have Warren McGlendon, who played, I would say, solidly as a swing tackle last year. Like I said, they brought Coleman Shelton here, who I think is kind of a luxury pick. I don't really feel like they necessarily needed to brought him, especially when they were able to pick up oh God, I forget the name. Wait a second, I have it. Yeah, Willie Lemkin and Javs, who's kind of, I would say, Coleman Shelton, not in a nutshell, like he is quite physical, small, like not big body mass, but athletic potential center for this team for the future. If Bollimer doesn't work out, yeah, they could have something there. He's a really nice UDFA pickup that we might see as a fullback this year, or some type of like weird 6-guard package, not 6-guard packages. Like, okay, they could go 6-guard deep, but that's not what I meant. So they are really, I think, not bulletproof here, because there is a drop-off, but they are deep and they are solid. There is potential, there is experience. pretty much everything you could ask for. Because again, with another tackle that they brought is DJ Humphries, the solid veteran that we saw last time. I think it was with the Chiefs when he played like 2 games last season. Before that, it was with the Cardinals. Kind of your solid left tackle that probably, as of right now, is nice backup, nothing more. But that's pretty good if he's not even your third option potentially over Warren McGladden. So they kind of got themselves protected from what happened early last year, where some of the pieces were missing and the identity of this offense just could not get fulfilled because they didn't get this push that they do expect from this massive, massive O-line. Behind them is Matther Stafford. I don't get it, man. Like, what more does this guy need to do to not be disrespected? Because it's a lot of crazy talks about, who the top 10 quarterbacks in the league are. I actually see on some list Matther Stafford missing, and I'm like, you cannot be serious. You cannot be serious. I'm a Seahawks fan, but you cannot be serious. To me, this dude is 5th or 6th best quarterback in the league. Perhaps 7, depends how you feel about Justin Herbert, Jaden Daniels. Some would probably throw CJ Stroud or Jalen Hurts or Jared Goff into the mix. Okay. To me, no. Like, they are under him. To me, it's kind of this 4 greats in Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen. Then you have Matther Stafford, Justin Herbert, and already Jaden Daniels as kind of a 2A. And then 2B to me is like CJ Stroud, Jalen Hurts, and Jared Goff. But like, not having in top 10 is just ridiculous. Like, this man, he continues to do it. Like, he's not slowing down. Yeah, it looked ugly for first couple of weeks, but he had no protection. Like, this offensive line is not great in protecting him. And when they were missing pieces and actually could not set up the run even, yeah, it looked ugly. They were also missing Cooper Kupp at some games, missing Puka. So it was like, well, we don't really have weapons, we don't really have protection, we don't really have a run game. Good luck, Matther. And even there, like, he had some games where he looked pretty good. To me, great that they were able to retain them, for them, not necessarily for me as a Seahawks fan. And yeah, like, this is really about like him. I think he's going to continue until his physical falls off, and they will like kind of work on this with Sean McVay, and until like this lineup is not competitive, which after they've managed to kind of rebuild themselves within a year where they could have won a Super Bowl, it's not going to happen that they would lose this competitiveness edge. So I think Matther Stafford could be here for a while. I could expect him, because he's a tough cookie, to play for another 3 to 5 years. And you better put some respect on his name, because he absolutely, I think, deserves it. Now, in terms of weapons, I have some problems and I have some praise. So we start with the praise. If this group is healthy, beside this offensive line with Matther Stafford and with Sean McVay, I think there's a potential that this could be top 3 dead list offense in the league. For sure, I think that. I feel like you have every ingredient in the book for that to be true, because meshing of the skill sets for these wide receivers is excellent. Puka as your slot wide receiver, power slot, and Devante Adams as your X. Like, this is a combination that they kind of let their guy Cooper Kupp go for, because like they are meshing skill sets like better than they were with Cooper. The thing is, they have nice tight ends to complement them in Higbee, in Parkinson. That if Higbee stays healthy, and again, that's a big if, they are a complement to these special weapons. The same with Tutu. You also have Kyren Williams, who is kind of like, I think the way they run the game actually is how the media or national like attention is towards Kyren Williams, because like he is this small guy behind all those massive players, and it's hard to not lose him, lose sight on him. That's something that happens to defenses all the time, and he is pretty good at using that, as well as sometimes it happens to national media, because I feel like Kyren Williams was pretty special last year, and I feel like metrics back it up. I don't like it, like you cannot say I have favorites because I'm a Seahawks fan, but I think this guy doesn't get enough praise like the way other backs would do. Is he the most flashy guy? Is he the most physically talented guy? No, but he's a savvy guy, he is a smart guy, and he absolutely fits what they want to do. Now, let's look at the backups, because you have Terrence Ferguson, you have Jordan Whittington, who are like solid tight end 3 and wide receiver, I would probably say 5. And that's pretty much it. There's not really that many weapons. Like they have, in terms of running back, they have Blake Corum. We'll get to that. But in terms of weapons, beside running backs, they are thin. And I don't really have super trust in their undrafted free agent pickups. Like they are nice special team players, but the drop off from them, from like guys that are on the screen towards guys that are not even on the other screen, is massive. And you have Davante Adams, who is on the wrong side of 30, dealt with some things. I still feel like he is a great player. Didn't really deal with too much injuries, but the wear and tear on his body is there. And then you have Puka, who, the way he fell in the draft was like there are major concerns about his health. And when he is on the field, like he to me is a top 10 wide receiver in the game. Like he's just freaking incredible. The thing is, even in his 2-year career, like he missed 35-40% of the snaps because of injuries. And now you taken away Cooper Kupp from this kind of power slot position that they kind of were interchangeable there. He sometimes were both used in the draw. It kind of means that if they want to continue to run the same schemes as they did, there's going to be even more contact on Puka with linebackers, etc., which I don't necessarily like because of his injury proneness. I'm not saying it necessarily has to increase the chances of him being at risk, but it doesn't help. And the fact is that without Puka, suddenly you kind of need Terrence Ferguson to perhaps step into the role. Probably, I feel like that's kind of the one pathway that they ensured themselves for this year with losing Cooper Kupp. It's not highest rewarding insurance for this team when I really feel like this is such a critical position, and they were used to having Cooper Kupp there, triple crown winner, now Puka Nacua, who to me is an elite wide receiver whenever he's healthy. Not having this really nice backup option with Kupp, I think could bite them in the ass. So they need to stay healthy. I feel like if you lose Devontae, it's a problem. You can work without Devontae. I think solely. If they lose Puka, I think there's going to be a huge problem. And unfortunately for the Rams, there is a pretty good chance that they would lose Puka for, I would say, extended period of time. So stay healthy. I'm scared to death. Lose Puka or Devontae, and at the same time, there's a high chance that you are without Tyler Higbee at that point. Suddenly, you are looking at a very, very thin group that could really struggle. So we talk about backups. I think there's an interesting conversation about Blake Corum, because I really like this pick, because to me he's kind of like mini Kyren Williams, wins in very much similar fashion, has similar body type. And the thinking was like they could save some money on Kyren Williams' contract and kind of handed the reins to Blake Corum. But last year, Kyren Williams kind of just continued to show that this is his backfield, and whenever Blake got his opportunity, he didn't necessarily look great. And they also drafted Jarquez Hunter, and he might be sniffing opportunity to overtake Blake Corum as a running back too. So we'll see how this kind of camp battle probably goes down. As of right now, it's definitely Kyren Williams, but we will see who is going to be his primary backup. So in terms of weaponry, I'm not super stoked about the depth of this team, especially when out of the 6 guys we have on like the main table for this team, 2 are hugely injury prone. 1 is kind of the older guy who could get injury prone given his age. In terms of backup quarterback, it's Jimmy Garoppolo. At this stage of his career, it's kind of like whatever, solid enough player to be a backup for you. You don't expect him to, kind of resurrect his career. I just don't think he's at that stage anymore. Fine by me. So overall, when we talk about this offense, I feel like it has tremendous potential to be dangerous as hell. At the same time, 1 or 2 things going wrong, and it's not like they have not dealt with injuries, and we saw that it just kind of fall apart. I feel like they are slightly better prepared this year, but I did expect them to be more prepared, especially in terms of weaponry, after what they saw happening in like first couple of weeks last year. Kudos to them. They definitely not bulletproof themselves, but let's say spear-proof themselves towards injuries on the offensive line. So that was the offense for the Rams. And now let's shift our attention to the defense, and we will start with what the identity of this defense is, and it's this defensive line. They've invested here, and they've created, unfortunately, very early, very good defensive line with their picks. And we have to start with Jared Verse, because what he's done, especially in second part of last year, was not defensive rookie of the year worthy. It was defensive player of the year worthy. Like, this dude was incredible. And like him against Jalen Carter in that Eagles matchup, it was super fun to watch. And I think the sky is the limit at this point. He is such a physical menace. He has speed. He has tremendous power. And like for such a young guy and such a, I would say, light guy in a way, he hits like an effing truck. And he's a great run defender. He's exceptional pass rusher. I think he is the next in line to be ascended to amazing elite starter, like with as early as like game 4, game 5. Because if he continues where he left off, the only thing that he's kind of missing from that elite guys in the league is sample size. I think that's it, and I see no reason why like it should not work out for him, and I'm scared of it. He is a scary dude, and the thing is, he's the identity of this defensive line. He is their best guy in year 1. It doesn't mean they don't have capable bodies next to him, because Kobe Turner, I question him. I question him after Aaron Donald retired, because I feel like he is a lot of byproduct of Aaron Donald attention in terms of where offensive line focuses. This year, okay, like he had Jared Verse next to him, but still, Jared Verse was not Aaron Donald, especially not the first 8 weeks. Kobe was really damn good, and they needed him to be, and he just was. So great job on Kobe. He to me is not a guy that would scream ascendant to eliteness is possible. Could he become an amazing starter? In my eyes, yes. There is still a lot of things. I think not a lot of things. I would say a lot of high-end sample size for him to like reach that. I need, some better games for him to reach that level. But still, having him as an important starter in middle of this defense, yeah, that totally works. And that one of my favorite / least favorite signing of this offseason was Poona Ford. They lost Bobby Brown, and they kind of needed this huge, big-bodied sometimes nose tackle, sometimes just defensive tackle to plug the hole. And getting Puna for this amount of money is ridiculous. I absolutely don't understand the Chargers for letting him go for this amount, because like it's not even 10 million a year. How? Like in a world when everybody's going crazy about we need trenches, we need, defensive line investment, offensive line investment, and then Puna goes for 10 million a year. I'm like, if it was like for 1 year kind of a prove it deal, because like before Chargers where he was excellent last year, and I would say he outplayed good starter, he was like kind of important starter, but like the year before that he was kind of invisible with the Bills. If it was like 1 year prove it deal, then I would accept 10 millions. But the fact that he actually signed for 3 years, this could be a massive deal for the Rams, because I feel like he could be worth 20 year, if he continues to play like he did last year. And if he drops off, then this deal is just good. Special value. I mean, I hate it because Puno, I really liked him with Seahawks. He started there, he played several years there. He was really good in the starts, then kind of faded away, but rejuvenated himself with the Chargers last year. And he's exactly what the doctor ordered, and for a freaking discount. I hate it. I love it. You know. And then on the other side, you have Byron Rank, who actually racked up 11 sacks last year. Is that necessarily an indicator that he is a special player? Not necessarily to me, but he is a high effort guy, dude that's really able to like take what's given and really use the fact that defenses need to focus on Jared Verse, on Kobe Turner, and he's really nice compliment. And I think decent starter probably does not give him justice, and it's definitely a grade that needs to be revisited very early in the year if he continues to at least stack up the numbers. Before we look at linebackers, let's look at the depth for this defensive line. Is it exquisite? No, but it's damn good, because we talk about Peyton Fisk, who I was not a huge fan last year. I felt like he was overdrafted, and definitely in year one, I wouldn't say like, not necessarily he proved me wrong. I would say it was a lot of, they showed, Mr. Shula, as defensive coordinator for the Rams, showed me that they had an absolute plan on how to utilize Brandon Fisk, and they freaking done that. And he was one-dimensional, yes, but was it a problem? No, it was not a problem. And then next to him you have Ty Hamilton, who kind of bounces, say Brandon Fisk, in terms of like, he's just there to be your capable body to stop the run. And, they could be kind of one interchangeable pieces, where Brandon Fisk is there for a lot of third round work, and Ty Hamilton takes first and second downs. And it could just absolutely work. Is this necessarily a value that you should take with second round? I mean, interior pass rush, it's really hard to find, so I actually have to say yes. And then we already talked about Josiah Stewart a little bit, because like after Byron Rank, I think he could get really nice chunk of reps out there, and I think he could be very productive year one. So they have youth all over this D line. They've invested heavily into this, and boy oh boy, this defensive line, as of right now, it's pretty good, but there is room for a lot of growth still, and that's scary. That's definitely scary. So great job there. Now let's talk about this linebacker room. We already talked about it a little bit. It's just linebacker by committee, by whoever does not suck. We don't invest in this position. And, for a long time, it was kind of a strategy of the Eagles that won a Super Bowl last year with pretty much the same approach. The interesting thing is, this offseason, they re-signed Zach Bond to like nearly $20 million a year, and they also drafted Jihad Campbell in the first round. So, from no investment into linebackers room to massive investment into linebackers group. So, will we see something like that with the Rams, or will they continue this? I don't know. What I know, or what I believe, is they have good enough, I would say 4 to 5 bodies in Sean Dolak, undrafted free agent pickup, who really, I feel like, has a chance to actually play some meaningful snaps. But you also have Pubo, Omar Spade, you have Troy Eater, and you have Nate Landman. You combine pay for this group around like 8 millions a year or 10 millions a year, and you just have like one job as a group. You have to not to suck. And when you have depth, which is kind of solid, which is like reasonable depth, and you have starters that, are not great. But in Omar Spades, I think he was much better than pretty much anyone anticipated last year. And you kind of know what your role is. I think it can work. And especially behind this defensive line, they could just be, like you have to save somewhere. And when you are saving linebackers and you are actually saving like somehow smartly, because the fact that you actually have 5 capable bodies that on, I would say, 15 to 20 other teams would be solid to nice linebackers too, that could create a group that's just going to that one job and it's not to suck pretty damn well. Do I expect them to have like some tremendous potential, or even like from these rookies or second round players to ascend to be great linebackers? No. Why? Like, I don't necessarily feel like they have the most tools to be that. I also don't feel like if that's about to happen, it's going to happen in year 2 or year 3. So I actually think like this group is pretty limited in terms of upside, but also for what they need of it, I think they are just fine. Let me know if you agree or disagree on this take. Now let's shift towards the secondary, because it's similar to linebacker group with, I would say, just turn up a notch in terms of, well, we cannot get away with like secondary being constructed the same way. We need more talent there, and they have more talent there in terms of like how good those players are right now. At the same time, it's still not a secondary they would invest heavily, and I was a little bit surprised by this in this draft, because I feel like there were some really nice cornerback talent that they could have, perhaps even should have, taken a swing at. Will Johnston, I don't know if he was still out there when Terrence Ferguson was picked. I think it was very, very close. He could be a guy. Shannon Revel. There were some interesting corners in this draft that, like, I think have legit number 1 corner upside. When I look at this group, I don't necessarily see that. I see again a group that the main ask for them is you don't suck. You play fast, you tackle, you play hard, and okay, Justin Jefferson probably is going to win one-on-one matchups against any one of you, even against double teams. But we trust our defensive line to not give JJ McCarthy time to find Justin Jefferson, or find him frequently enough, or find him deep enough that it's going to hurt us. So really, to me, the secondary is again built towards not suck. There is some potential, because like Cameron Kitchens for rookie safety, he was pretty good. There is some potential with Kobe Durant. Darius Williams, after injury, he might return to, I would say, better form than he necessarily had last year, because like he was not necessarily great when he came off the injury. But it's like, do you have, again, the potential to be top 10 unit in the NFL? I don't see that. I really don't. But are you a unit that should do its job, which again is not to suck? Yes. Is there potential to be like 20th best secondary in the league? Yes. Do you necessarily have like crazy wings that someone can like really look at and just attack every single week? I don't necessarily see that, beside the fact that you don't have number 1 corner. Like, that's something that you can attack, but like, okay, it's still, even number 1 corners have tough time going against Justin Jefferson and those guys. So perhaps it's better to focus on getting to the QB so he cannot find these guys, rather than find out the guys that could or could not lock him up when the QB has time to throw to him. So that's kind of how this defense at least feels to me, how it's like built. And I cannot necessarily disagree, especially when you consider that the offense is not necessarily built around explosive plays, which means they should be pretty good at keeping possession, winning time of possession with their running game, and that should allow this pass rush to be fresh, to be quick, to be nasty, and this defense to not like get gassed, which is pretty much what should happen. So, and even again, like if somehow, some way, this defense is going to allow big play, okay, it sucks. You just allowed like big touchdown, whatever. But in terms of time of possession, it just swings it to the other side because, well, now we are again on the clock. No, we are 7 points down, but in terms of physical, like good luck dealing with that. Like they are going to be pain in the ass to play against. So I think this team is well calibrated. This has clear identity, and like they have flaws. It's not flawless team, but what team is in terms of Cup era? You cannot have everything, and I feel like they've addressed their weaknesses or know about them in a way that it should not necessarily hurt their team that much. In terms of backups for secondary, could they have one more safety? Could their CB4 be someone else than Emmanuel Forbes, which probably is not even him anymore? I just had him here because like it's just crazy how quickly his career just fall apart after being first round like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. It's just insane that like we are talking about him as like 7th corner on the depth chart of not necessarily greatly talented corner room. Like he's definitely a guy that perhaps has the most theoretical upside, but can you actually think that it's going to come? Really, really hard to see. So that to me is how this team is shaped up in terms of roster and what does it mean for their schedule. Let's find out. So they will start by going south. And the team for this is, they will face AFC South 3 times. And it's actually not going to be easy games. Against Texans at home, they could have, their core to be healthy. The key part could be like, can Puka find himself open against this great defense, or can the defensive line of the Rams dominate against, let's say, newly reformed or depleted offensive line of the Texans? This could actually sneaky be very, very defensive battle, and I'm excited. This is definitely one of the matchups in week 1 now that I'm very, very excited. Then week 2 at the Titans, Cam Ward, first home game, at the Eagles, at Ravens, and you have Colts and 49ers at home. So this is really not an easy start, and I think 3-3 after what they've been through last year would actually feel like kind of okay. Then in the middle of the season, my team is big tests after the rest, because they will kind of have like these 2 teams pre and after bye that they should be winning against, like at home, Jaguars and Saints, but then going at 49ers and then getting visits from the Buccaneers and from the Seahawks. This is definitely one where I can see them going over 3-2, but I actually feel like Jaguars, Bucks, Seahawks, winning all of those 3 games at home is going to be very hard, and I think at that point San Francisco could have their shit together in terms of defensive line, and beating them on the road is going to be damn hard. Saints, I think that should be mandatory win, but we've seen some weirder things happen after a bye week where it's like you might, already have that focus on week 10 49ers, and then, Saints, 1-7 at that point or whatever, nothing to lose, they could come in town and be a surprise. But definitely, if you actually attack me for predicting them just 3-2 here, I guess you could be right. But there are some good teams on top. And then they will end the season with Jared Verse making the case for Defensive Player of the Year. Because when you look at whom they are going to face, Panthers, tough offensive line. Lions, tough offensive line. Falcons, tough offensive line. Birds, Cardinals and Seahawks, the offensive line at that point could be workable, but those could be like the 3 games that he could rack up the numbers, and also kind of the games that are most important because they are division games, and then you are facing pretty damn good offensive lines, and if he can make his case against them, when there are votes about like awards, like recent memories do tend to be overwhelming for this purpose. So if he is gonna finish strong, and I definitely feel like they will need him to finish strong, there is going to be matchup him against Aiden Hutchinson, him against Byron Murphy perhaps, or Lionel Williams, Bobby Brown, Walter Nolan. Like, there are going to be pretty good defensive linemen on the other side of the field. They will need to finish strong overall to win the division if things go as I do predict. So I think Jervis could actually win Defensive Player of the Year, and this could be where he just makes the stamp on it, because those are the games that he could definitely decimate the offensive lines. So this was the Rams. To me, they will win the division, but just because of tiebreakers. I really feel like this is the division where anyone can win. I really think Cardinals can win, Seahawks can win, 49ers can win, and Rams can win. For sure, I actually predict them to win. I have this division to go for over 500, so total would be like +4 for this division. So I do predict this division will be one of the tougher in terms of whole National Football League. And after going through those rosters, yeah, I think I'm gonna be right. But let me know, what do you think about the Rams, about the whole division, because this is where we wrap up. And which division do you think is going to come next, or which one you would like to? Thank you very much for listening, and have a nice day. Bye bye.